Way before we had digital clocks or detailed calendars, how did our ancestors know a harsh winter was on its way? They were present, they stayed aware, they could sense when the vibrant sounds of nature suddenly went quiet. They noticed animals gathering provisions with a different kind of intensity. The air itself would start to feel dense. The wind would whisper with a tone of seriousness. The hue of the sky would change in a way that felt significant. That profound stillness, the building tension, the quiet that precedes a major shift, this was the communication. This was the heads up. This was nature's way of saying, prepare yourself. Long before the first frost appeared or the cold winds began to bite, the alert had already gone out. Not with words, but through clear signs. Those who had sharpened their awareness could read this alert, but those who were constantly lost in distraction and noise missed it entirely. In our fast-paced world, so many of us have lost this kind of perception. We've swapped our awareness for endless distraction, our presence for non-stop busyness, and our inner quiet for constant noise. Most people are too caught up to feel what is approaching. And so when the deep freeze finally sets in, when the significant change unfolds, when the spiritual challenge arrives, they are found completely off guard, unprepared, and vulnerable. But the signals were present all along. The divine never initiates a profound transformation without giving you hints first. The cosmos does not operate on chaos. It speaks in a whisper before it shouts. It always offers the soul a chance to get ready. Right now, you are standing in one of those moments of whisper. You might be feeling it as a sense of unease. You may feel it as a friction in spaces that used to feel comfortable. You might sense that a chapter is closing, even if you can't make out what is about to start. You could be realizing that the distractions you used to enjoy no longer give you any comfort. You might find yourself looking for answers to questions you don't even know how to ask yet. This is the cool breeze before the season turns. This is the sign. This is the soul's signal that something much larger is on its way, something that lies beyond your current grasp. Do not write off this period. The end of this month is not just another day crossing off the calendar. It signifies a transition, a pivotal moment, a sacred threshold. What happens between this moment and that one is not about what's going on outside. It's entirely about your inner condition. The world around you may look the same, but what is being required of your spirit is truly exceptional. Most people will search externally for answers. The wise always look within. If your soul has heard that something will shift before June is over, this is not a moment for fear. It is a summons to get prepared, not through panic or anxiety, but with a serene consciousness, a precise intention, and a solid inner core. This level of readiness is not for sale. You can't get it from someone else. It is impossible to fake. It has to be built, one moment at a time, one breath to the next, one choice after another. You must ask yourself, when the shift comes, will it find me centered or will I be in pieces? Many will dismiss these practices. They will claim, nothing is really coming. June will pass just like any other month. They will stick to their old routines, replay familiar cycles, and then be confused why their life never gets better. But the spiritual seeker knows better. When the universe speaks, you pay attention, not with your physical ears, but with your entire being. The spiritual journey is not about foretelling what's next. It is about becoming ready for it, so that when the change arrives, you can face it with skill, not with terror. The wind doesn't give an explanation. It does not yell. It flows with a quiet power. It changes the atmosphere without permission. It moves into any space it chooses. And deep transformation happens in the exact same way. Divine timing operates just like that. So does this moment you've been warned of. You have no say in when it arrives. Your only power is in deciding which version of you will be there to receive it. Will it find you scattered, anxious, and fragile, or will it find you grounded, quiet, and solid? That is the separation between someone who is training and someone who is asleep, between the one who pays attention and the one who is indifferent, between the one who builds and the one who complains. The coming change doesn't care about your excuses. It will only reveal your foundation. And this is the reality. Every single moment this month was either adding to your inner fortitude or taking from it. Every single choice was either grounded in self-control or dictated by passing feelings. Every conversation was either an investment or a withdrawal. You are not a powerless victim of what is coming. You are the architect of your experience of it. This is the essence of spiritual practice. It's not about escaping discomfort. It is not about manipulating outcomes. It's about honing your perception so sharply that you sense the shift long before anyone else registers it. You feel the pressure building before it becomes a crisis. You navigate with composure while others are lost in panic. You embody the calm in the very center of the turmoil. But you cannot pretend to have this kind of strength. You can't rush its development. It has to be earned. It is forged in those quiet times when you are alone, in tiny acts of self-discipline, in unspoken courage, in selecting discipline when comfort is easier, in the deep forgiveness that unburdens your heart, in the negative thoughts you refuse to entertain, and in the fleeting emotions you choose not to follow. This has been your practice. This was your preparation, and now the wind is here. The whisper is growing in volume, the atmosphere is tightening, the signals are everywhere, not in the headlines, but inside your own spirit. You can feel this. You are aware that something is approaching, not to destroy you, but to test the quality of your awareness, to ask you, were you genuinely preparing, or were you just going through the motions? Maybe not in what you perceive with your eyes, because once June concludes, a shift will occur. Perhaps not in the external world, maybe not in what you can physically see, but something deep within you will change you, your connection to your purpose, your clarity on what you must hold on to and what you must let go, your courage to advance without seeking validation. Something fundamental is changing. This is the gateway. This is your moment. This is the line between the person you have been and the person you are becoming. But you cannot cross it while filled with noise. You can't step over it carrying fear. You can't bring your laziness with you. You must meet it the way the wind meets a cliff face, with total presence, with zero resistance, and without apology. This is how you elevate. This is how you connect with your purpose. This is how you express gratitude for the warning you were given, not as a form of punishment, but as an act of grace. So listen one more time, not with your ears, but with your whole soul. What is the wind attempting to convey to you? What is the real message behind your unease? What is the opportunity concealed within your discomfort? What needs to be released? These are not trivial questions. They are sacred. Because when the change comes, when the test is upon you, when the stillness explodes into movement, you will not have time to get ready. You will only have time to respond. And your response will be a mirror of every quiet decision you have made up to this point. So view these final days as a holy opportunity, not from a fear of what could happen, but from an awe of who you are being called to become. And never forget, the breeze comes before the gale. The only question is, are you really paying attention? When the currents start to change, and when the world feels like it's holding its breath with a strange tension in the air, most people aren't watching. They react without thinking. They dismiss the stillness as nothing. They mistake quiet for safety and see a delay as an escape. But the laws of the spirit are not like our daily habits. What you refuse to face with discipline today, you will have to confront with regret tomorrow. That is the law. When a warning is given, when the universe sends a gentle nudge to your spirit, it's not a moment to hesitate and speculate. It is a clear signal to prepare. But preparation is a concept the undisciplined cannot grasp. The undisciplined are addicted to comfort. They are dependent on movement, emotion, and external approval. They interpret a warning as something to fear. Rather than confront reality, they reach for another distraction. When a lesson is offered, they scroll on their phone. When a problem begins to surface, they go to sleep. When their spirit feels the call to evolve, they resist instead of surrendering. This is the reason that when a true transformation arrives, they are thrown into chaos, not because the signs were hidden, but because they never genuinely believed it was coming. They heard the alert, but failed to internalize it. They were too preoccupied to notice, too distracted to feel, too arrogant to be humble. So when the time comes, when the shift happens before June concludes, they will be caught off guard. Not because the divine failed to alert them, but because they squandered every single opportunity they had to get ready. On another road walk the prepared. The prepared don't need to be told a second time. Their lives are not run by their emotions. They aren't chasing thrills. They are chasing alignment. The second they feel that internal nudge, they pivot. When their spirit feels unsettled, they get quiet and listen. When a teaching resonates deeply, they absorb it, reflect on it, and embody it. They understand the process. When the same challenge reappears, they quit blaming the world and start improving themselves. It is not because they are inherently superior. It is because they have known pain. They have discovered that ignoring their own truth costs far more than the temporary discomfort of early preparation. And so, they work in silence. They cut out things that make them weak. They are mindful of what they consume. They turn down the external noise and amplify their internal awareness. They hone their mind like a blade, sharp, still, and unwavering. When others wonder, what are you preparing for? The prepared person just answers, for what's next. That moment will find most people sleeping. That is the true separation coming before June is through. Not a division between groups of people, but between the ones who are ready and the ones who are not. It is filled with quiet reflection and time alone. It is a steady walk while others are desperate for attention. While society chases shiny objects, the prepared seek inner peace. While others look for applause, they look for what is real. And while the undisciplined bemoan their circumstances, the prepared are busy forging themselves into individuals who can face any storm with grace. It is recognizing that life is a gift and that windows of opportunity don't stay open forever. It is understanding that how you handle one small thing is how you handle everything. The prepared don't just get ready for storms. They prepare for every morning, every interaction, every single word they use. They prepare with intention. They prepare by living according to their values even when nobody is looking. Especially then, if something is destined to occur before the end of June, and if the universe has whispered this into your heart, now is not the time for guessing or procrastinating. This is the moment to eliminate what is draining your power. This is the moment to ask the difficult questions. Who am I when I'm completely alone? Where is my attention really going? What am I investing my time in? If a challenge arrived right now, would I crumble or would I stand firm? The prepared don't require external signs. They don't need to wait for validation. They are already aware that every single breath is a chance to get ready. Every single struggle is a training ground in disguise. Every second has value. But the undisciplined demand proof. They need an outside signal before they will take action. They want to see the storm clouds gathering before they will move. But by that point, it is already too late. Preparation isn't what you do when the crisis begins. It is the way you live before the sky darkens. Once the challenge is here, the time for getting ready is over. There is only time to respond. And your response in that moment is a direct reflection of how you have lived until then. You see, the biggest differentiator between people isn't their intelligence. It is not their history or their education. It is discipline. It is the strength to do what is necessary before you are forced to do it. The undisciplined wait for consequences to push them into action. The disciplined act because they feel the rhythm of life. They sense the shift in the atmosphere. They heed their inner guidance. They train for the very things that others pretend will never happen. Living without discipline is like gambling with your own soul. It is hoping that chance will save you when readiness could have. It is thinking that having good intentions is enough to manage the weight of an unfocused mind. It is stepping into a wilderness without a guide, hoping you find your way. The undisciplined wish, the disciplined build. And what you must build at this moment is not external, not a new home, not a career, not a reputation. What must be built is your insight, your inner stillness, your self-mastery, your core strength. These are the resources you will need when June ends and the shift arrives. When people start to panic, it will not be because the world is falling apart. It will be because their own inner world was already fragile. When you haven't conditioned your mind, even minor issues feel overwhelming. But when your mind is conditioned, even massive challenges seem navigable. The time is now, not when the event is unfolding, not when the change is obvious to everyone. Now, in this quiet, ordinary moment, what you choose now is shaping who you will become. When this month concludes, how you think, how you behave, what you give your energy to, these are all seeds. And when the downpour comes, what you have sown will either nourish you or become a source of regret. The disciplined know this principle. That is why they don't procrastinate. They don't run on motivation. They practice without emotion. They train without needing an audience. They release what weakens them. They focus on what empowers them. And they do this consistently, day after day, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because they know on a deep level that true transformation occurs long before it becomes visible. The era of casual comfort is over. The season of waiting is done. You are not here to just float through another month, repeating the same tired cycles. You are not here to carry the same liabilities into a new part of your story. If your spirit has given you a sense that something will happen before the end of June, do not ask for an extension. Ask for greater focus. Ask for the resilience to prepare even when you don't have all the answers about what is coming. Because genuine preparation is not about knowing all the specifics. It is about constructing your foundation. Build that inner foundation right now. Reinforce your positive habits. Clear out your environment. Sharpen your mind. Nurture your soul. You don't require anyone's approval to evolve. You require awareness. You require consistency. And you require the humility to understand that discipline is not your oppressor. It is your greatest ally. Yes, the temptation will be there. You will be tempted to dismiss this, to continue on as you always have, to put it off until you feel prepared. But the reality is, readiness is not a result of waiting. It is the result of preparing. Waiting cultivates weakness. Preparing cultivates wisdom. The choice has always been up to you. But the consequence will not be. When that day comes, when the shift is upon you, you won't have the luxury of practicing how to be calm. You will simply have to be calm. You won't get a chance to learn how to surrender. You will have to release instantly. You won't have time to create boundaries. You will have to defend them with conviction. These abilities must be forged now in the quiet, in the everyday, in the unseen spaces where only your spirit is watching, because they exist in a state of readiness. They don't know the exact details of what is on its way, but they have a deep understanding of the person they must become to handle it, and so they practice every day to evolve into that version of themselves. So take an honest look at yourself without making excuses, not tomorrow, but right now. Are you truly preparing, or are you just avoiding the work? Are you actually walking this path, or are you just talking about it? Are you just wishing, or are you actively building? Before June is over, something is set to change. Maybe in your external world, maybe in your mindset, maybe in your deepest core. But the result will not be accidental. It will be a direct reflection of how you use these last days. The alert has been sent. The quiet guidance has come. The atmosphere is changing, and now the only thing left to determine is, will you be frozen or will you be ready? There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where the way forward begins to feel more constrained. Not in a physical sense, but at a much deeper level. There are countless voices, endless options, and many people walking near you. It can feel exhilarating at the beginning. The insights seem fresh. The progress feels significant. The growth is obvious. You feel a sense of community with others on a similar journey. But then a change begins. The further you go, the less people seem to get you. You start to talk less. You might feel a growing sense of solitude. As you progress, the inner requirements become more intense. This is the narrowing of the way, and it is not a form of punishment. It is a holy indication. There is no crowded stadium for mastery, no busy highway to profound awakening. The most authentic truths are not found where the masses are. They are uncovered in silence, in friction, and in periods of deep uncertainty. The path contracts to guard what is valuable. It narrows to show you who is truly committed and who is merely passing through. It becomes tight so that anything inauthentic can no longer come with you. And when this shift happens, those who lack discipline will retreat, but those with true courage will continue on. As June reaches its conclusion, this narrowing effect will intensify. You may be sensing it already. Old patterns might suddenly feel far too heavy to sustain. Familiar conversations may leave you feeling depleted faster than ever. People you once felt close to might now seem worlds away. Places that used to provide you with solace may now create a sense of restlessness. This is not an error. This is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the sound of your own evolution. It is your spirit shedding what is no longer essential. It is your soul preparing for a greater calling. It is the universe kindly closing doors you have outgrown. So, you must stop trying to fit into small spaces that are not meant for your future. But this process of narrowing is not comfortable. It requires immense bravery. The bravery to be misunderstood by others. The bravery to be alone with yourself. The bravery to let go of things that once made you feel safe. The signs that you are on the right path are not always loud. Sometimes the quiet is the signal. Sometimes the emptiness is the proof. Sometimes the absence of outside support is precisely what builds your inner resilience. People frequently ask, how do I know if I am truly evolving? The answer is not found in how many people clap for you. It's not measured by your popularity or by how much approval you get. Real growth is visible in how much you are willing to sacrifice for what is true. It is shown in how well you can sit with silence without needing to escape. It is shown in how faithfully you hold to your own path, even when you are the only one on it. This is what this time is truly about. What is arriving before the end of the month is not some loud spectacle. It is not a dramatic event. It's a quiet transition that only those on this narrow path will completely experience. It is a moment that distinguishes those who just talk about it from those who live it, the spiritual tourists from the calm and steady warrior. You do not need to be afraid of what is coming, but you should not disregard it either, because once the path becomes this tight, going backward is no longer a viable choice. What used to fit into your life may not have room anymore. What once made sense to you may now feel like a burden. You cannot pull the past into your present without experiencing friction. To keep moving forward on this narrow way, you must become lighter. You must release the habit of overthinking. You have to take off the masks you've been wearing for the sake of others. You must let go of the need to justify your path to people who have no intention of understanding your vision. This is not about being arrogant, it is about being in alignment. There is an inner voice that is becoming stronger, an inner pull that feels more insistent now. You cannot answer that call and still hold on to everyone else's expectations. You cannot ascend while clinging to every outside opinion. And this is the great test. Not everyone will understand your need for silence. Not everyone will appreciate your focus. Not everyone will be comfortable with how you are changing. Some might even attempt to pull you back to the person they used to know, not out of malice, but because your evolution threatens their own comfort. And it is here that your courage must ignite, not the courage to fight with them, but the courage to continue on with grace. The courage to wish them peace and hold your course. The courage to trust that the person you are becoming is more important than the person you were. Transformation has a lonely aspect that is seldom discussed. There is a deep ache in the process of becoming that no self-help book can fully prepare you for. But this ache is sacred. It is the shattering of all that is false. It is the pruning of all that is not real. It is your spirit being forged anew, and only those who are brave enough to remain in that fire will emerge focused, resilient, and truly free. As the path gets narrower, your perception will become sharper. You will lose your tolerance for confusion. You will refuse to give energy to dishonesty. You will begin to perceive what most people miss. You will hear what most people tune out. Your existence will become quieter but also much deeper, because what the divine is orchestrating before June is over is not a random event. It's a sacred moment, a spiritual compression, a time that requires your undivided attention. Those who lack discipline will view it as extreme. They might ask, why are you making things so hard? But the courageous ones will realize the path is not getting more difficult. It is simply becoming more authentic. It will no longer allow you to pretend, and within that raw truth, you will discover a strength that comfort could never have provided. If your world feels like it's being stripped back, silenced, or compressed right now, this is not a deficit. It is a purification. You are being refined. You are being challenged to walk without your old crutches, to stand without the usual distractions, to have faith in what you cannot yet perceive. The true gift is not in what you will get, it is in who you will become. You will be more grounded, you will be more clear, you will be unmoved by chaos, not because your life became simpler, but because your inner world achieved peace. Every master was once a student who refused to quit when the work got hard. If every focused individual was once easily sidetracked, but chose evolution instead, a blessing that doesn't need a name, a door that only swings open when you are by yourself, honest and humble. So continue on. Even when your body is weary, even when your mind is filled with uncertainty, even when your heart aches for what you had to release, the path ahead may look small, but it leads to something immense. It leads to something profound. It leads to a kind of peace that can never be purchased, taught, or taken away. Walk with courage, walk with faith, and walk with the knowledge that this silence is not a void. It is the very presence of something much greater. Human beings are captivated by endings.